So let us have a small session of the yesterday session. So yesterday we have discussed about what is the Linux command. What is the command we are using it from the AWS console, and we have decoded that AWS connect command. We have decoded that AWS connect command, and we have seen the kinds of authentication, like how many kinds of authentication can be done to a Linux server. That is by using username and password, which is password based, and the second one is key based or password less based. And then we have seen how to connect to a server. So when you want to connect to a server, so you need three things, which is username, password and IP address if you are going with the authentication of password based. And we have seen how the internet works, like when you hit something on your browser, how the connection will go out and provide you the result on your browser is how the internet works on your laptop. And we have seen the difference between public IP and private IP, and we discussed about where we use the public IP and where we use the private IP. And we have seen the CRUD operations. In the CRUD operations we have seen the create operation, which is creating a file, creating a folder, and in the read operation we have used cat command to read the content or see the content in the file without opening. And for the delete operation we have discussed about rm and rm-r for removing the folder, and we have discussed about copy and move, and then we have discussed about head and tail. It is also same like a cat command, but you can provide a customization to the output you wanted to see. Head is for looking at the starting of the file, tail is for looking at the ending of the file. And we have seen grep. Grep is same like your Control F searching in your Windows. So you can search for a specific word in a file without opening it. And wget is for downloading the stuff from the internet. So yesterday we have discussed about cut and awk, but we didn't practice this. So today we are also going to look at this cut and awk as well. So we are going to use this on one of the file. And we have discussed about find operator. Find operator is nothing but it is going to find a file in your server. If you want to search for a file in your server, you can use find command. That is about a small recap of the yesterday's session. So today, continuation to this CRUD operation. Operations. Let's try to discuss about the cut and awk. So cut and awk commands are used to cut the string. Cut and awk are used to cut the string or cut the file. So to practice this cut and awk command, let me go ahead and create a server in AWS. So let me go to AWS console. Why I am creating the servers every day? So what is happening to the servers I am creating on a daily basis? So I am terminating them once after the session has been completed. Once after session has been completed, I am terminating them. I will show you how to do that. Let's discuss about why we are doing it. But before that, let me create a server. I will go to EC2, launch instance, and I am giving the name of the server as DevOps practice, and the operating system I will be taking Ubuntu 22 is okay, and then the instance type T2 micro, it is free tier eligible, it is okay for me. And the key pair, I am going to use my existing key pair, which is DevOps AWS. And the network settings I will leave as it is, and the number of servers are required 1, and click on launch instance. So I am assuming that you guys have already created the AWS free tier account and you are familiar with the server creation, and that's why I am going little fast when I am creating the server, as I am doing it for couple of times. So I am going little fast today. So till now, if anyone didn't created their AWS free tier account, please create it today and start practicing on the stuff. The server is getting created and the server is in running state now. So every day, once the session has been completed, so I am stopping this server. So how can I stop or how can I terminate? Stopping is for the temporary stop. If you stop the server, you can start it at any point. But if you terminate the server, then the server is totally removed. You can't connect to it after some time. So if you want to do something with the stop and terminate of the server, just check the server. Go to the instance state. So what is the state of the server now? It is running. So there are three things here: stop instance, reboot instance, terminate instance. So let me try to document. Instance states. So we have three states. We have three states. The first one is running state, and then stop state. Third one would be terminate state, and then reboot state. So running state is nothing but when the server is running, the state of the server would be in the running. So when you want to stop your server and if you want to use that in the future, you will be stopping your server. So if you want to use your server in the future, so you can stop it. But if you don't want the server to be reused and if you want to totally remove that server, then it is terminate. So if you want to totally remove your server and if you don't want to use that in the future, then it is terminate. So there is one more thing called reboot. Reboot is nothing but just like restarting your laptop. So when you do the reboot, the whole boot process will be again initiated. The server will be up and running once the reboot has been done. So these are the instance states of a server that you are creating in AWS. So every day, once the session has been completed, I am terminating the server and I am creating it again. So when you are practicing your stuff, it's best practice to terminate and recreate so that you will have a hands-on in creating the servers. Okay, I'll get back to my server. Let me use the SSH client command to connect. For that, I have to open my git bash in the downloads path. So let me go to downloads. From here, I will be open git bash here. So I have the git bash open. Let me reopen it. Close all windows. Git bash here. This is my git bash. Let me maximize the font as well. So now I am in the downloads path. I have the PEM file, which is DevOps AWS.pem. Now I can use the SSH command from the AWS, which is SSH-I, and I am passing the PEM file as a password. And the username is Ubuntu and the DNS of AWS server. Okay, now I am connected to the server and I am clearing the screen by using a clear command. Now let's discuss about one path. There is a file called etc password. It is the file in which you have all the users information in your server. So in the file password, you will have all users information in your server. So let me go to that file and look at it. So it will be under etc folder, and then there will be a file called password. So I will use cat to see the content in that file. See now, this is the file in which you can see all the users information in your server. So we are connecting to the server by using the Ubuntu user, right? See, there is a user called Ubuntu. And we have the root user as well, right? For every server, you will have the root user. Root user is nothing but your admin user. So in your Windows, it is admin. In Linux, it is root. See, there is a root user. And after the user, you are seeing something called user ID. So in Linux, user ID of root is always 0, and for all other users we create on it starts from 1000 and more than 1000, and below 1000 those are system users. For your system to be running, for your operating system, there will be system users which are created. Those are below 1000. So for the root, the user ID is always 0. For all other users we create on it starts from 1000 and more than 1000. And the users which are below the 1000 are system users. So let us go back to the server again. Look at this. The root user ID is 0 and Ubuntu it is 1000. So if I create any other user by using some commands that we are going to look at today in the user management stuff, so that user ID will be 1001. And look at the other users, 109, 106. These are all the system users. So for your OS to be running, there should be some users which do some activities in the operating system. So rest everything all the system users which are below 1000. So how can you check the user ID? ID-U. See, what is the user ID of the Ubuntu? It is 1000. Let me document here as well. id -u is going to provide you the user id of the user. So right now, if you look at here, I am on the Ubuntu user. So how can I switch to the root user? Is there any command to do that? The command to switch to the root user is sudo su hyphen. Su means switch user. And hyphen is going to take you to the home path of the root. Sudo su hyphen I is going to switch to the root user. So now let us try to clear the screen and check for the user ID, id -u. So what is the user ID? It is 0. For the root, always the user ID is 0, and for the other users it will be 1000 and more than 1000. It starts from 1000, and how many number of users you create, it will keep on increment that user ID. And sudo su space hyphen is going to switch to the root user. And what is the home path of the root user? It is pwd. /root is the home path of the root user. And at the same way, for every user there will be a home path. So from this, if I want to switch to Ubuntu user again, I will be using sudo su ubuntu hyphen. Right now I am in the Ubuntu user, but still the path is not correct. Let me come back again to the root user. Sudo su hyphen ubuntu. Now I am on the home path of Ubuntu. So the hyphen should be before the user. So from the root, if you want to switch back to the Ubuntu again, so you have to use sudo, and su means switch user, hyphen, and the username you wanted to switch. What this hyphen will do is, hyphen will take you to the home path of the user you are switching. So the home path of Ubuntu is home/Ubuntu. So if you look at this command, I have used hyphen at the end of the user. The user has been switched, but still it is on the home path of root, not on the home path of Ubuntu. So if you want to switch user along with the path to the home path of the user you are switching, we have to use sudo su hyphen and the username. Ubuntu will switch to the Ubuntu user and home path of Ubuntu. That is to switch between the users. So now let's get back to our cat and awk command. So I will get into the sudo user, and in here I will go to the folder of etc, and I will try to use this password file to practice the cut and awk command. So cut and awk commands are nothing but those are going to cut the string. So if you take this first line, it has a lot of words. It has daemon as a word, x as a word, it has numerics, and it has /user, and it has the path. So if you want to cut this line into multiple pieces, so there should be some delimiter which is separating them. So there are a lot of delimiters here. So if you want to separate by using the colon, so this line is going to split into multiple pieces. daemon is the first one, x is the second one. So wherever you are seeing colon, and after the colon there will be a piece which is separated, and one is the again the third one, and you have daemon, and this user has been is another one, and user has been no login is another one. So if we use colon as a delimiter, so it will be splitted into daemon and then x 1 1 and again daemon and then slash user slash sbin and then the last one. So delimiter is nothing but the separator. Delimiter is nothing but the separator, how you want to split your line. So if you want to split your line by using the colon, so these are all the pieces you will be getting in it. So this would be my first piece, x would be my second piece, 1 would be my third piece, again 1 would be my fourth piece, daemon is the fifth piece, slash user slash bin is my sixth piece, slash user slash bin slash login is my seventh piece. So it has splitted into 7 pieces if I take the colon as a delimiter. But if I take this slash as a delimiter, colon as delimiter. So if I take this slash as a delimiter, so let us see now. If I take the slash as a delimiter, this would be my first piece and user would be my second piece and sbin would be my, not sbin colon is my third piece and the slash, again the user is fourth piece, sbin is my fifth piece and then no login is sixth piece. If you take slash as delimiter, so delimiter is nothing but a separator, you wanted to take it in a line. So it depends upon your use case which delimiter you wanted to use. So right now this file has so many lines. So if I use the cut and the delimiter as a colon, and if I want to print all the usernames, the first word is the username, right? Daemon is user, root is user, Ubuntu is user. So how can I print that? By using -f. So if you want to print the first word in all the lines by using cut, what is the delimiter I wanted to use? Colon. -f is for printing. So this cut command is going to print all the users in the password file. So let me clear the screen. So this is the command. So I want to use the cut command with the delimiter colon and I wanted to print the first word in all the lines. In which file? In password file. Look at the output. So I have got all the lines which is splitted with a delimiter of colon and I have got the username from all the lines. And if you want the user ID, so if you want the user ID, so what is the piece number here? It should be number 3. So let me try to do that. Cat, the delimiter is the colon, instead of 1 I will use 3. See, the root user ID is 0 and the Ubuntu user ID is 1000 and rest all are the other user IDs. So by using cut you can do this and you can add the output as well. So if you want your user IDs and the usernames as well, along with the 3 I will use 1, 3. See now? So you got the user and you got the user ID. You got the user as root and the user ID is 0. You got the user as Ubuntu and the user ID is 1000 and rest are all the system users. So depending upon your use case, you can use the cut and the delimiter to get the output from your file as well as the string. It is not only for the file. If you have a string with the content, you can cut the string as well. So now we are doing it on a file and we can do it on the string as well. Okay, let us try to document this. cut -d, the delimiter is colon, and then -f, 1, password is going to provide the list of users. These are all the real-time cases, guys. So if someone asks you to list all the users in your server, you can use this command. And if they want the users and the user ID, you can use this command as well. Provide list of users with user ID. And awk is also the same use. Awk is also used for the same purpose, but the syntax would be little different. Both of them are going to do the same activity, but the syntax would be little different. Provide the list of users and user IDs as well. So let us try to understand about awk. So awk is also the same, but the thing is, instead of -d, you will be using -f, and the delimiter would be same. Any delimiter you wanted to use. Here we are using -f to print it, but in awk we have to use a syntax of single quote and then flower braces, and under this you have to use print. So if you want to print the first line or the first word, you have to use $1. So instead of 1, you have to use $1 and then your file name. So let us try to use this on the password file. I am clearing the screen. Paste. See, the output will be same. And here if you want to print the last piece of your string, you can use nf. So see now. So nf is giving me the last separation part in my line by using the delimiter colon. So if you want to combine two pieces, it is same like your cut. In the place of nf, we have to use $1, $3. $1, $3. You get your user IDs along with the username. So both of them are same, but only the syntax changes. Let me try to document that as well. If you want to print the last separation, nf. If you want to combine, it is with $3. Provide the list of users. The third one would be providing the list of users and user IDs as well. Okay, that is about awk and cut. Let us try to understand the final operation, which is update operation. So update is nothing but you have to open something and you have to edit something. So if you remember yesterday I asked you to have a look at the VI editor in Linux. So let us try to discuss on the VI editor. So VI is most popular editor in Linux. By using VI, so we have to open the files and then we have to edit the files. So in VI there are three modes. VI there are three modes. The first one is colon mode, and then escape mode, and then insert mode. So once after you open any file with the VI, you will be having these three modes. So let us try to practice these three modes in one of the file in Linux. So let me go back to the server and clear the screen. So now I want to do some practice on the password file, but I don't want to mess that file. So what I can do is I will use move command to create a backup of that file. So I will create a file with .bak. So when I use move, so it is going to create a, not move, I don't want to move, copy. So there will be two files with the password and password.bak. Where are they? So now I have two files, password and password.bak. Now I will use this password.bak to practice the stuff of VA editor. So I will be using VA editor and I will open a file password.bak. See, it has a lot of stuff. So if I want to, so look at the cursor is at the first line. This is the line number at which your cursor is. So right now my cursor is at the first line. If I want to come down to the last line, or if you want to come to the last line of the file, you have to use Shift G. See the cursor line number here? It is 35. So it has 35 lines. Now the cursor is at line 35. So if you want to again go back to the top of the file, you have to use GG. Look at this line number. Now the cursor is at line number 1. And if you look at the left corner, you have the file name and you have the line numbers, how many line numbers this file has, and the size of the file. Give me 1 minute, guys. And this is your line number, and whenever your cursor is moving, this line number is going to move. So I am scrolling down in my keyboard by using down arrow. This line number is moving. 17, 18, 19, 20 till 35. So what are the commands we have used? Shift G, Shift press G, end of the file, and then GG to go to this is what we will do, right? When we open something in Windows laptop, the first two operations we can do is we can scroll down or we can scroll up. The same goes to the Linux as well. If you want to scroll down to the last, Shift G. If you want to scroll up again, GG. Now let us try to discuss about colon mode. Once after you open the file, if you enter Shift and colon, you will be seeing this colon mode. So this is the symbol you will be getting by using Shift and then the key next to the L in your keyboard. This is the colon mode, and in the colon mode, let us try to discuss about search. Like once after you open the file, if you want to search something, how can you search? You can search by using slash. Colon slash is for searching a word. So if I want to search for the username Ubuntu, see where is my cursor? My cursor is at 34th line. Look at this. 34th line is the Ubuntu and my cursor is at 34th line and it has search for the Ubuntu. And if you enter N, So the cursor will go to the places where all the search word is there. N is like find next in your Windows laptop. So if you have the same word multiple times, the control F, so there will be find next option, right? So in the same way, if you use N, you will go to the next search in your file. In the same line, now the cursor is at the Ubuntu. And if your file is too big, and if you want to search from the bottom of your file, there is something called colon ? It is also going to search the word, but it will search from the bottom. It will search from the bottom. As the big is not that huge, as the file is not that huge of the password file, so we are able to see the stuff. But if your file is too big, and if you want to search from bottom, then colon ? So colon / search from top, and then colon / is search from top, and colon ? is search from bottom. Then let's try to look at one more stuff. Colon set nu. So you are seeing the lines, but if you have the line numbers before every line, it will look good, right? So that is possible by using colon set nu. Set nu is going to set the numbers, line numbers to your file. Set nu is going to set up line numbers to your file. And if you want to remove the line numbers, set nu. Unset line numbers. So if I use colon set nu, it is removing the line numbers. So now I am in the password.bak file. So if I want to come out from this file without saving any content, it is just like if you close your file, it will ask you to save this file and exit, or without save you can exit, right? So I want to exit without saving. The command to do that is escape : q. Colon q is exit without saving the content. And there is one more thing, which is colon q exclamatory, which is force exit. If you want to exit forcefully, you can use exclamatory. If you want to exit forcefully, you can use exclamatory. Now let me get back to the file again by using vi, and the file name is password.bak. So till now I didn't edited anything. Just we are looking at the escape mode. So now if I want to replace some words in this file with my own word, to do that, in the column mode we have to use colon search for the word which you want to edit. So I want to edit Ubuntu with my username. So wherever this file has an Ubuntu, that has to change with my name called Surya. After S you have to use the search word, and then after / you have to use your replace word. And then if you enter G, it is going to change the Ubuntu with the name Surya at all the places in this file. So how many places this file has the Ubuntu? In the line 34, I have two places. This one is Ubuntu and this one is Ubuntu. So let us, has been moved to Surya. The Ubuntu has been moved to Surya. So to replace the words, we will be using colon mode, S for search word and G for replace word. But it is removing without any confirmation. So for every time it is changing in the file if you want the confirmation. So for the first time when it is changing, if you want the confirmation and if you want to approve it, then you can use a command, the same command but with C at the end. Let me use colon slash and you have to use C after the G. C is for confirmation. Now the Ubuntu is already replaced. So what I can do is I will try to replace Surya with Ubuntu again. I will replace Surya with Ubuntu again, but this time I want an option to approve every time it is replacing it. So if I fire enter, see it is asking me replace with Ubuntu. Only after I press Y here it is going to replace. So the first method of changing is done. And in the 34th line, the first Surya has been changed to Ubuntu. Now it is at the second position. So if I enter Y, it is going to change to Ubuntu again. So S, G is for replacing the stuff. -S colon S slash search word and then replace word slash G. Replace the C at the end, it is replace the word confirmation. C is for confirmation. It will replace with the confirmation. So now if I want to, after I replace something, if I want to save the content and come out of the file, the command is colon WQ. Colon WQ is for save the file. Same like colon Q exclamatory, WQ exclamatory is for force save. WQ exclamatory is for force save. That is about the escape mode. Sorry, colon mode. And there is one more thing which is escape mode. So in the escape mode, once after you enter escape, you will be seeing the escape at the left corner. Left corner, you will be seeing the escape. Look at this position. Once you enter escape, you won't be having that file name here. So where is my cursor now? It is at the 34th line. It is at the 34th line. Once after I went into the escape mode, so if I want to copy the whole line, if I want to copy the whole 34th line, the command is YY. YY is for copy and P is for paste. See now I entered P, there is a new line pasted here. And if I want to undo, the command is U. If I enter U, it is going to undo my changes. So in the escape mode, U is for undo and then YY copy YY is for copy, P is paste. If I want to paste multiple times, so just I have to use the numeric before P. If I want to paste 2 times, I can use 2P. Paste 2 times. So let me look at this. So my cursor is on 34th line now. So if I use YY copied, so I am using 2P. See, there are 2 times the 34th line is copied. The 34th line is copied 2 times. If I want to undo, U. If I want to undo, U. So these are the options available in the escape mode. So let us try to look at the important mode, which is insert mode. In the insert mode, once after you open the file, so I am using VI to open the file again, and when you enter insert, the left corner will be moved to the insert. Look at this left corner position. See, now it is on the insert mode. So when it is on the insert mode, you can type something. Surya test insert mode. So when it is on the insert mode, then only you can enter something. When it is on colon mode or when it is on escape mode, you can't type the stuff. Even though you got an option to edit it, but it will mess something in the file. So whenever you want to edit a file and when you want to insert something, you have to be on the insert mode. Insert for editing the file. These are all the 3 modes you have to understand to work with the VA editor. So if I want to save this file, with the line I have entered, what is the command? Colon WQ. How I can confirm the file has been saved? I can go back to the file again. Look at this, it has saved. Now I will remove that file, whatever I have done. I will go to insert mode. I will take my cursor to there and then escape DD. So I forgot to mention one more thing in the DD is for delete the line. Once after you enter escape, if you use DD, so look at the line here. I am on the empty line on the 34. I am on the escape mode. So if I use DD, it is going to remove that line. So escape DD is for removing the line or deleting the line. W colon exclamatory for saving. So if I want to see the content without opening, I will use cat BAK. So it has saved properly. So these are all the modes which are available in the VA editor. The first one is the insert, if you want to edit something, and then the colon mode. The colon mode is for replacing the stuff, searching for the stuff, and then highlighting the line number and exit out of the file without saving and save the file. All are the options available in the colon mode. And in the escape mode, we have copy, paste, undo, delete. These are all the activities which are with the escape mode. And the insert mode, in the name itself it is there, it is for just writing or editing the file. And if you want to scroll down in your file, Shift G. If you want to scroll up, GG. Okay, that is about the VA editor. So now let us try to discuss about one more interesting topic. one more interesting topic in Linux, which is permissions in Linux. When you are creating something, that can be file or folder in the Linux, so there will be some permissions to your file, like who can read it, who can edit it, who can execute it. So let us try to understand that. So let me go to switch to the Ubuntu user, clear the screen. I don't have any files here. So let me try to create one file by using touch devops.txt. So I'm creating a file devops.txt, and if I do ls-l, so there is something called rw, and again rw and r, and then there is something called Ubuntu, and there is again Ubuntu, and then the file size and when it is created and the file name. So let us try to understand about what are these. The first one is the permissions and the second one is the ownership. So let me try to copy this. For every file there will be three kinds of permissions. Every file or folder you are creating, there will be three people in your server. One is the user who created it, and another one is the group to which the user belongs to, and others. User, group, and others is O. So these are nothing but the same refers to. The first R and W refers to the user who created it. That means the user who created the file, he can read it and he can write it. Write is nothing but he can edit it. And the second RW belongs to the group in which the user is. If the user is belonging to any of the group people can read it and write it. And the last R is referred to the others. If there are any other people other than the user or other than the people in this group, so they can only read it. They can't write or they can't execute. Let us take an example of use case. If the user is in DevOps group, belongs to DevOps group. So this devops.txt file can be read and edited by the user, and it can be read and edited by the people who belongs to the DevOps group, and the other people like developers or testers. They can write the file. That means they can't read the file. Sorry, they can't edit the file. They can only read it. So you can restrict the permissions to the file you are creating once after you have created the file. By default, when you create anything, it comes with the read-write permissions for the user, read-write permissions for the group to which the user belongs to, and only the read permissions for the others in your server. So your server is having lot of users in your organization. You are only the not one who will be having access to the server. There won't be any separate servers for you. So when an application is hosting, so there are a lot of teams. There are developers, DevOps, testers, and functional testing teams, performance testing teams. There are many teams in your organization, and everyone will have an access to the servers. So it is your responsibility to provide the correct permissions to the files you are getting created. So how can I change the permissions? So to change the permissions, you should understand about the values which are given to the RW and the E. For R is 4, the value given to the R is 4, and for W the value is 2, and for execute the value is 1. The value is 1. So now let us try to change the permissions of this file and understand what these RWX are going to make a major role in the permissions of Linux. So if you want to change the permissions in Linux, the command would be chmod, change modifications, and then there are 3 areas here: user, group and other. So if you want the read, write and execute permissions to the user, so we have to add 4 plus 2 plus 1. What is the count? 7. And then I want only the read permissions for the group. So what is the value of the R here? Only 4. So I don't want any permissions to the other than user or group to this file, and then 0. So what would be my file name? DevOps.txt. So if you use this change mod and 740 on the file of DevOps.txt, so what we are going to get is the permissions of the file is going to change in a way that DevOps can read, write, execute the file. Read, write and execute the file. 4 plus 2 plus 1. And what is the next permission? 4 for the group. If it is only 4, then the people in the group can only read. What is the last one? 0. That means other than the people in the group and the user, no other people can read the file, write the file or execute the file. So let us try to do this. If I do ls-l, now let us look at this. Now let us try to look at this. Read, write, execute. The user has read permissions, write permissions and execute permissions. The people in the group in which the user belongs to has only the read permission, and rest, the others doesn't have any permission, and the rest others have no permission. So by using change mod, you can change the permissions to a file. And there is one more interesting stuff after the permissions to the file, which is ownership. So this Ubuntu belongs to the ownership of the file who have created this, which is Ubuntu user. So if you want to change the ownership of the file to any of the user, you have to use the command of chown. Chown is nothing but change ownership. If you want to switch the ownership, username colon username, and then to which user you wanted to change, and the file name. So I can change the permissions of this file to the root by using chown. Chown -r root colon root devops.txt. It is going to throw me an error because it is not permitted. So I have to use sudo to do this activity. See now, if I am trying to change the access of this file or the ownership of the file to the root user, so I must have the sudo access, then only I can do it. This Ubuntu is having the sudo access, then I use the sudo and then it has changed the stuff. If I do ls-l, see the ownership. Who is the owner of this file? The root. So if I want to change back again to the Ubuntu, in the place of root, I will use Ubuntu colon Ubuntu. So chown is for changing the ownership of the file who has created it. And these RWX and RWX and RWX refers to permissions of the file, who can read it, who can write it, or who can execute it. Chmod is the modifications for the permissions on the file. Chown is for changing ownership of the file. Changing the ownership of the file. Okay? That is about the permissions in Linux. So let's try to discuss about the 4 things which are left. One is user management. Second one is package management. And then process management, service management, last one would be user, package, process, service. Only the 4th stuff if it is the physical server. But if it is a virtual machine, then we have to look at one more important management, which is network management. So let us try to complete as much as possible in this management for today. First, look at the user management. So in the user management, we'll discuss about how to create a user. How to create a user. How to create a group. And how to add a user to the group. And how to remove a group to the user. So these are all the activities we should know when we are dealing with the user management in Linux. Or else how can you set a password. So let us get into the server. Let's try to look at the user management. So how to create a server. So the creation of server will be slightly different depending upon operating system we are using. So let us try to show you. Create a user in Ubuntu. And in the same way, let me try to show it on CentOS as well. See, on the Ubuntu, if you want to create a user, the command would be add user. The command would be add user. But in case of CentOS, it is user add. But in case of CentOS, look at here, it is add user or user add. When you are creating something in the Ubuntu or CentOS, every operating system which belongs to the Linux is using the kernel, which is the Linux one. So almost the commands would be same. There will be slight difference. So if you take a package manager for CentOS, it is apt. For Ubuntu it is apt. For CentOS it is yum. So there will be slight differences, but almost the functionality would be same. So right now we are on the Ubuntu server. So if you want to create a user in an Ubuntu server, the command would be add user on the username. So let me try to do that. Add user DevOps. See what it is stating. So when you want to create a user, so you should be the root user. So right now I am on the Ubuntu, so I have to switch to the root user, and in here if I use add user DevOps, it is going to create the user for me. The user has been created and it is asking me the password. So try to look at the output here. So it is adding user called DevOps, and it is adding new group. It is creating a group called DevOps, and it is creating the new user called DevOps with the user ID, and it is creating a home directory. So whenever you are creating a user, for every user there will be a home directory created with the home/username. If I create a user called Surya, my home directory would be /home/Surya. For all the users, there will be a home directory in which your activities will be done. You can create the files, create the folders, you can do your stuff in your home path. And it is asking for the password. Let me give the password as DevOps only. And it is asking me the full name, room number and all. I was not interested to provide any other stuff. Just enter. Is the information is correct? Yes. Now I have created the user. How can I confirm that the user has been created? Whether I can switch to the user or else I can look at the etc password file, right? Let me try to use cat etc password. See, now there is a user created and the user ID is 0011001 and the home path is home DevOps. That means the user has been created. So let me try to switch to the user. Now I am in the DevOps user. If I do the pwd in the home path of DevOps. So if in case I forgot the password, I want to edit the password. So if you want to edit the password, the command is password and the username. Changing password for DevOps. The current password it is asking. I don't know the current password. Let me try to give some random stuff. See, authentication token manipulation error. So if you don't know the current password, you can't change the password from the DevOps user. But if it is the root user, you can change it. So let me switch to the root user. Now I am on the root user. Let me create the screen. And if I say password DevOps, see, it is not asking my current password, it is asking the new password. That means only the root user can reset your password. If you forgot your password, only the root user can reset your password. Add user and the username for user creation, and then password username, reset the password, but you should be root. If you want to reset the password, you should be in root. Do it. That is for creating the user and changing the password. Now I have created the user, right? I have created the user and I have the password as well. So if there is any chance that I can log into the server by using the DevOps user. To connect to the server, there are two ways, right? One is key based and one is password based. So now I have the username and password, which is DevOps. Initially it is only the Ubuntu user. Now I have created one user with the name of DevOps and I have the password. Let me try to use the username and password to connect to the server. So where would be my server IP address? It is in the AWS console. Let me go to instances, check the server. So which IP I have to use? I am outside the world of AWS, so I have to use public IP. So let me get back to my downloads path, open another terminal for the git bash. Let me maximize it. I know the command. SSH is the secure shell protocol. The username is not Ubuntu, now it is DevOps @IP address. Are you sure you wanted to continue connecting? Yes, I wanted to connect. See now, I have the user and I have the password. Still I am unable to connect to the server. It is stating as permission denied. So what can be the error? What can be the error? The error is, by default, when the AWS server is providing the virtual machines, or when AWS is providing the virtual machines, it comes with key based authentication, and password based authentication is disabled. So the authentication method of using the username and password will be disabled in the AWS servers. Is there any way to enable it and use the username and password? Yes, there is a way. There is a way. By default, AWS servers password disabled. So how can we enable it? So in the server, so this is my server, there is a path called etc ssh, and under the ssh there is a file called sshd_config. So I need vi to open the file, so I will be using vi. So there is a file called sshd_config in the etc ssh folder. So here, if you scroll down, look at this, public key authentication is S. That is okay. And we need something which is password authentication. Look at this line. So let me try to set number. Look at this 57th line. So by default, the password authentication is disabled. So if you want to enable it, insert, replace the no with S, and then save the file by using escape WQ. If you try to look at the file again, let me use cat etc sshd_config, and I will use grep password authentication. See now, I used grep and the case sensitive for searching the word in this file from the cat. So we know the cat and we know the grep, but what I have done is I have combined the both two commands to get the output. So there is a password authentication and it is changed to S. That means it is enabled. But once after you have made some changes to this SSH, you have to restart the SSH service. To restart, sudo service SSH restart. So if you don't restart the SSH service, once you have made some changes to the configuration, so it is not going to work. So to restart the service, sudo service SSH restart. So which service you want to restart? SSH. And after the restart, if you want to check the status, sudo service SSH status. To enable password based authentication, go to etc ssh config file, and then change that we have to run command of sudo service ssh restart and then check with the command sudo service ssh. When you are doing some changes to the ssh service, you have to restart the service. So to restart, the command is sudo service ssh restart and sudo service ssh status. So now try to connect using DevOps user by using a command ssh ubuntu @public IP. So let me go back to the console, get the IP and go to my second tab, ssh ubuntu my bad ssh DevOps Now initially it has thrown me an error and it has not provided any option to enter the password. Now we have an option to enter the password. So I am giving the password. I am inside the server. So the point you guys have to understand here is, by default AWS comes with the key based authentication and password based authentication is disabled. If you want to use the username and password based authentication, so we have to enable it in a file called etc sshd_config. Once after you did that, you have to restart the SSH service. That is about creating the user. So now let us try to understand how to create a group in Ubuntu. How to create a group in Ubuntu, add user to that group. If you want to create a group, it is 1 minute. Let me remove the old file. I am not sure why my internet. Very good. My internet, my ISP provider is giving me 40% of the plan I am taking. See, if you want to create a group, so we have to use, not this one, I am looking for some other stuff. See, same like your user, just you have to replace the username with the add group and the group name. It is going to create a group, but it is not going to add your group. I mean, it is not going to add your user to the group. If you want to add your user to the group, you have to use sudo add user username and the group name. So let us try to do it. So I will be, see, once after you use this sudo service ssh status, so it will be opened and this page will be inside this service status. If you want to come out of it, you have to use Q. If you enter Q in your keyboard, you are going to come out of the status of the service. Let me clear the screen. So I am under the root user, add group, and the group name I am creating it as DevOps Surya. So there is a group created now. So if you want to add user to this group, add user, and there is a user called DevOps, and before that, yeah, that's okay. And then I will be adding my DevOps user to the DevOps Surya group. If you look at the output, we have added our DevOps user to the group of DevOps Surya. So if I get into the cat etc password, if I go to my DevOps user, my user ID is 1001, which is an increment after the Ubuntu. So this is how we can create the group and we can add the user to the group. And also let us try to understand how to list user groups a user. So if you use groups and the username, it is going to provide to which groups the DevOps user belongs to. So why we have two groups here? So initially, if you remember, when we are creating the DevOps user, a new group called DevOps group is created and the user is added to that. And after that, we have added the user to the DevOps Surya group. So there are two groups in which the user belongs to. So by default, the username is the group and then the secondary group is DevOps-Surya. If you want to create a group, add group and the group name. And then if you want to add user to any group, add user, username and the group name. And if you want to list the user to which groups he belongs to, you have to use group and the username. So this is about the user management in the Linux. We have seen how to create a user and how to reset the password to the user and how to add a group and how to add user to the group. I will stop at this point and rest of the management stuff, let us look at them tomorrow. But for today, I will stop at this point and open the floor for queries. If you guys have any queries, you can raise it now. No queries? Shall I take it as a no?
Yes, sir, no queries.
Okay, thank you so much for responding. I am assuming that you guys have already created AWS account. Please try to create it if not and start practicing the Linux stuff. So tomorrow we are going to look at the other management stuff in the Linux, which is package management, process management, service management and network management. And we'll try to discuss one more interesting topic tomorrow, which is the difference between the monolithic and microservices. So it is the very important topic to understand about how the applications works in an organization, and microservices is the advanced way of hosting your applications, and it is very popular model in the market right now. So we are not going to create them, but we are going to understand from monolithic to 3-tier application, from 3-tier application to the microservices. So once after the tomorrow these sessions are completed, so we are done with the basic Linux and then we will start with our DevOps tools. But my suggestion to you guys is, please practice all the stuff from the Linux activities we are doing for this past 3 days. Then only you can understand the topics once I started working on the DevOps tools. Because if you don't have a practice or hands-on on these topics which we are discussing for the Linux, so when I use that command, you will try to think about what that command is doing. So you will try to think about that command, what is doing, and you will skip the topics or skip the understanding of the DevOps tool concepts. So please practice all the Linux activities before coming to the DevOps session once we're done with this Linux stuff. Okay, that's it from my side. I hope if you guys don't have any queries, that's it from my side for today. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye.